Mo, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
Mo, can you describe in your own words what Plano is all about?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think in summary, we've just developed an ecosystem to try to address the global epidemic of myopia, as well as the underutilization of eye care services. And really our ecosystem just focuses on three areas, obviously very important ones. First is education. And you're probably more aware than anyone else about the knowledge gap in eye health. And the solutions for different eye conditions. And we use multiple channels to try to communicate content to the lay audience in the world. Second is technological solutions. So just innovative ways of trying to create lifestyle changes to mitigate myopia risk factors. Obviously, one of them trying to reduce excessive amounts of screen time, near work activity, and getting kids and families outdoors. And the second one is to try to push people in a friendly way, in an empowering way to facilitate bookings and appointments at eye care professionals. And lastly, we use predictive analytics to try to help better manage myopia for families as well.
Now, if you could describe, maybe even in a less sophisticated way for our audience, because the term ecosystem is quite broad. I know you do a lot, but what is it really when we get down to the concrete types of things you do?
Yeah, absolutely. I think what we try to do is we try to help industry, government, and so forth. So we're not in the business of conducting eye tests or providing optical solutions or therapeutics and so forth. But what we try to do is we try to build a relationship with the population or communities to help them understand why eyes are important, what are certain conditions you can develop with a focus on myopia, and then what things can you do in the way of lifestyle behavior changes, as well as the other clinical-based solutions. So that's what I mean by about education. Ecosystem is just a fancy word to say it's a group of products and services really that are somewhat intertwined. The second part is that we try to help families by being an assistant or a companion to the family with an application that works in the background of phones and tablets to help kids have those regular eye breaks to ensure that they're holding the phone correctly, not too close to their face. Also incentivize them through a reward system to get outdoors. And then we provide parents with reports, not just on time on device, but other eye health parameters that are important. And of course, we provide that online security. The second part of the tech solutions I mentioned earlier is really a platform to help families make bookings in a very easy way, efficient way, convenient way, effective way. And so, for example, if a family requires, a myopia control, they can find the appropriate optometrist or eye care professional closest to them that provides those targeted services, and they can make the booking within planoEyecheck, and it's less than 2 minutes booking. And lastly, what we try to do there with what I refer to as the predictive analytics is really trying to help with the consumer insights as to who in the family will be at a higher risk of developing myopia, how fast will their myopia develop, when is the expected stabilization. And obviously, the reason we do that is that we're trying to reduce the amount of people that go on to high myopia, because as you understand, those that have more severe forms of myopia are at high risk of vision impairment and blindness. So we do our part. So it's really about educating, mitigating risk factors, getting people into eye care, to push them in front of the eye care professionals so we can start with early detection, which is the best management, also putting in preventative strategies as well. So we play one part of the journey, if you like, of eye health management for myopia. And it's an important part that we've struggled with for a long time in the way of our industry in communicating with the lay audience and really filling in that knowledge gap that we identified in Plano in our first 1 or 2 years. The magnitude of this problem was very evident because it was one of our key pillars in the company, and we had to allocate a whole heap of... you would understand this, and you're doing a brilliant job yourself in helping us really put eyes on the map, get people talking about eyes, and because we're competing with the heart, the kidney, infectious diseases, cancer, and so forth. And probably the reason is that a lot of these conditions are asymptomatic, so there's no symptoms, so people just take their eyes for granted. And so we're really trying to get people to know more about eyes and to think more about their eyes and to be more proactive in getting their eyes checked and examined. And one of our education programs actually validated. So it's actually created behavior change to better manage device use in their kids, as well as adopting good eye care habits.
Yeah, I mean, comparing to other fields, it's interesting because I never thought about it until you just raised this point. But I guess eyes can't exactly have a heart attack, you know. So, of course, there could be immediate blindness, but it's not a matter of life and death, almost 100% of the time. So, the education that you're doing clearly is important, and at the same time, you've had great success. I see that you've gotten, 2 million downloads of your app, for example. Social media platform has 500,000 followers, website traffic 500,000 monthly. How have you grown your audience to these great figures?
Just to sort of tap on that first bit about, these worst case scenario with eye diseases is not necessarily that of, the unfortunate circumstances of death. But vision impairment and blindness is quite a debilitating outcome, as well as quality of life and so forth.
Yes.
So again, we're still competing with the other parts of the body, but the eyes are often a forgotten organ. But in the way of your second part of the question is that it's been tough work, Matt. It hasn't happened overnight, and we really use data as well as consumer insights to drive our content. So we ensure that our content is specifically tailored for different audiences, based on culture, age, socioeconomic status, educational attainment, and so forth, as well as using multiple channels, social media channels that other industries, even retail, will use in a very clever way. So we try to take lessons from them rather than, from academia and so forth, where we tend to communicate with our peers through publications and grants and so forth. So we utilize multiple channels, correctly positioned and created content channeled through multiple channels. And we're forever sort of evolving this content. And we use data based on metrics as visits on pages, whether it's our social media, our website that's been repurposed as one of the leading eye health platforms in the world, just to educate the lay audience. So I'm not interested in my colleague that, at my fellow sort of academic institute, but rather the people out there, the potential people, the consumers and so forth. And the most important part, which was where we turned the corner, is we tend to try our best to develop sustainable models with communication and marketing. What I mean by that is that constantly talking to these folk, filling in the gaps that they have. And it's bite pieces, but it's continuous, rather than one major campaign, as you could imagine, that's quite costly actually, and will have a positive effect for a week or so, but then it'll sort of die off. And so what we try to do is we try to communicate with people. We try to build relationships. And this is probably why we've had some success in brand trust, brand awareness, and people coming to us with questions as well. And we stay very current. And obviously we've got the luxury of our board and our team as well as being very science and clinically orientated. So everything we deliver is quite credible and supported by different entities within our company.
So since you have this ecosystem, which I understand better now, where does a business model come into play? Where does the company make revenue from currently?
So a lot of it now is B2B. One of it is media, and you will understand the structure of media and our rich sort of digital real estate. And that's website, social media. The Plano application also has real estate there, with companies providing services and products for device-free activities. And then, of course, one of our really strong points is our research capabilities. So it's not just the user base in itself, but also us conducting market research and more traditional research. So we can work with consultancy companies, health and wellness companies, even academic institutes, government, for example, trying to develop frameworks and guidelines with this big gaming issue that's going on in the world, excessive gaming really. So helping them sort of formulate proper guidelines and frameworks and so forth, using data and science. So it's media as well as the research capabilities. And we will eventually move to grow even further our B2C component of the company too.
I understand somehow you also allow AI to predict child vision. Is that correct with your applications?
Yeah, so we've got Predict My Child's Vision, and using sort of parental insights and some of the insights through the other mediums and platforms. What we've done is that, and we've been working on this for a few years actually, and we've sort of kept it under the radar a little. One of the challenges in science is using smaller data, and it's cross-sectional data, which means it's at one time point and it's not longitudinal, meaning you're not gathering data at different time points into the future. And so Plano has enabled us to have big data, socio-demographics, as well as some eye data, as well as some device activity data, to then utilize that using the latest AI to predict the onset, whether that you're going to develop myopia, the age, the progression and stabilization. And the whole purpose of this is, again, to put information in the hands of people and families to make the correct decisions, to push them into eye health care. And for them to have the second component of this that we're working on is the prescriptive element. Okay, so my child's at this risk of developing myopia, what do I need to do? And they can use this modeling and user-facing platform to be able to, here's the lifestyle changes you can do, get in for regular and timely eye examinations, here's the solutions in the way of optical therapeutics and so forth. So it's a tool that will be positioned for the lay audience. So it's not just for geeks like myself to sit in the office and just get excited about the predictive values of these and the accuracy and so forth, but it's how can we position it to the people, again, to assist in the management of myopia.
Well, this is one of them, so thank you, sir. And we shall see you somewhere out there at a regularly scheduled conference now that they're returning.
I look forward to it. Thank you so much.
All the best.